New #1 team in the Week 2 Power Rankings, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, that bad man, and company move up 5 spots from number 6 after a win in Jacksonville to open the season. So, as you can see, the top 10 of the Week 2 Power Rankings. And now we welcome in Jeff Saturdays here with us. Hey, how we doing?
So good.
We need to get your thoughts on these Power Rankings after Week 2 here, Jeff. Break this down for us. Should the Packers be #1 aggressive?
No, very aggressive. From 6 to 1, you play the Jacksonville Jaguars without Chris Ivory, who's in the hospital and goes on Sunday, right? So without a predominantly, smash mouth back, which is what Jacksonville wants. Jacksonville runs for less than 50 yards with Yeldon and an offensive line.
They had a 4th and 1 with a game kind of on the line.
Exactly, and you got a bear like Ivory. It's obviously a different one. They're in the game. They play a very good football game. They throw for more yards. I mean, you're looking at a team. The Green Bay Packers struggled to win. They did win. Now Aaron Rodgers made some great plays. Guys, Drake on his back, still putting that thing in there. But they beat Jacksonville on the road. They go from 6 to 1. Now you take the Patriots, who go to Arizona, who everybody is talking about Arizona being able to battle for the NFC, possibly the best team in the NFC, with no Brady, no Gronk, no Ninkovich, 2 offensive line starters not playing. They go on the road and they win. And by the way, they controlled the game. If you watch the game, they controlled the game the whole way. They played good football, 62% on 3rd down conversion. 62. 45 is a game. I mean, you are balling. You can't be more happy with that. 62%. And I talked about in this game, if you watch the control, and I understand Arizona has a chance to win late and they miss a field goal and all that, but Garoppolo, with it on the line, drives it down to be able to kick the field goal. Everything they had to do, they did. And you look at Arizona's defense, very good defense. Chandler Jones over there, Matthews over there. You have Calais Campbell. You have all these players everybody's talking about, and they are able to control.
Honey Badger.
Yeah. So they have all these guys who can play good football, and the Patriots win. How are they not 1? It's shocking to me that you would go from 6 to 1, and the Patriots can't get into that 1.
You can make a hell of an argument for the Patriots. You just did, Jeff Saturday, obviously. But I would say that if something holds them back, it's that Bill Belichick's unbeatable first week. Let's see, 12 and 1 in his last 13. First week, because he has all that extra time to prepare. He can do it with Garoppolo. He can do it with Matt Castle. He can do, if you give him time to prepare.
He did with Matt Castle 11 and 5. That's not one game.
No, right. No, sure. If you give Belichick time to prepare, and also he doesn't have guys on the roster just because. It's because he can do what they need him to do. So you can make a very good case for the Patriots. They should be #1. But let me tell you what I saw from Green Bay. I saw the team I thought Seattle was going to be. And I know Seattle had a very tough Miami defense that's now a little banged up. But this was the Miami defense everyone was maybe expecting to see last year, signing Ndamukong Suh, and they were very tough. Seattle still got the win, but their offensive line deficiencies were glaring in that game, I felt. And then you look at Green Bay against a much improved Jacksonville team on the road. And what did you see? They have a good offensive line. They got a defense. They have the best quarterback in the game who's back doing things that no one else can do.
Jordy Nelson's back.
Jordy Nelson's back, although maybe not looking like exact, but still. But we saw Aaron Rodgers at the end of the half, the end of the first half of that game. He's scrambling. He throws a bullet down the field, to take the lead going into the half. And just like you watch the way that played, but he says no one else can really do that. So they have the best quarterback in the game, a really well-rounded team, the complement of receivers back. I get it. I get why. Against a Jacksonville team, let's see what happens this year. They look pretty good.
They did
look pretty good to me. I get why Green Bay would be 1. Seattle's the one that takes the tumble to me here, because coming into the season, I thought they should be #1, and they've been correctly demoted.
The one thing about the Jacksonville, and I agree with you, I think this team has a chance to battle in the AFC South for a possible division. I get that they are definitely a much better football team, and with Chris Ivory, who's out of the hospital now, this will be even a better football team. They don't know how to win yet. So winning a tight game against Jacksonville in Jacksonville doesn't say as much to me about how good Green Bay is as opposed to New England beating a good team at home in the whole
one of the odds-on favorites, Arizona.
I mean, that's a much tougher win for me, in my opinion, than going to Jacksonville against a very good team, but young guys who don't know how to quite get over the top.
Is that Belichick with preparation? See what I mean? Like, is that going to show up all season, or is that game 1 because Belichick got time to prepare for these guys?
I think that continues to show up. I think if you look at the way they played, they were so commanding. That's the part that shocked me. It wasn't a shock as a tight game. but 62% conversion rate on third down, being able to run the ball over 100 yards, 2 offensive
without
linemen
Deion
gone,
Lewis
and Gronk. Gronk's not there. Deion, I mean, you're talking about, and Blunt, you know, other than the fumble, he played a good football game. Everything you had there, it's tough for me to see how you wouldn't put the Patriots at 1. As good as Green Bay is, and I agree with you, they're a good football team. They'll be competing for it. It's kind of a slap in the face, in my opinion, of the Patriots. And that's hard for me to say. You know,
yes.
It's hard for me to say.
Are y'all finished? I don't want to hear anything about Green Bay. They barely beat Jacksonville. I'm not saying they're not a good team. You know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. I think that he's the baddest man on the planet as far as I'm concerned. But they struggled with Jacksonville. They ain't getting #1 in my power rankings. Let me turn to you. I respect the New England Patriots. I think Bill Belichick's the best in the game. The fact that you don't have Gronk and Brady and you still beat Arizona was incredibly impressive until you dig deeper and you listen to the things that they say. And was it a product of New England or was it a product of Arizona not being ready? When you've got the coach and you've got the GM, literally Bruce Arians went into the locker room and called out players by name, according to the report. You got Honey Badger back there after getting hurt last season. Peterson and those guys could have stepped up. Chandler Jones and those boys celebrating just because they down 10-0 and celebrating, not having their heads in the game. Offensively, they just seemed ill-prepared for the contest. I'm not saying that the Patriots don't deserve credit. But when we talk about #1 in the power rankings, far be it for me to bring this team up, but it would happen to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Has anybody noticed what happened? I mean, the Redskins are the NFC East champions. The Redskins does have a quarterback in Kirk Cousins who's in a contract year, franchise tag, $19.95 million. Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson, both entering the final years of their contracts with a lot to prove. Jordan Reed, we all acknowledge, a flat-out stud. You got Josh Norman, who's supposed to be in the lead corner. You got Breeland there with them. You got Kerrigan and D'Angelo Hall. And what did we see from the Pittsburgh Steelers? No Martavis Bryant, no Marcus Wheaton, Heath Miller retired, no Ladarius Green, okay? They had to walk out onto the field, no Le'Veon Bell, okay? So they walked onto the field with Antonio Brown, no doubt, with Sammy Coates, okay? With some dude, Eli Rogers, okay? With a 33-year-old running back in D'Angelo Williams.
They weren't playing anybody.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
Washington's a good team. They weren't playing it. Jacksonville's a better team than Washington right now.
Stop right there. First of all, you don't know that.
No, I'm predicting it.
You predict, so am I, but you don't know.
Right.
I didn't say you didn't. I didn't say what you predicted. I said you don't know. So what I'm trying to say to you is this, Max Kellerman. What we have to go on is the fact that the Steelers were depleted, and that was just on offense. I didn't bring up the absence of Bud Dupree. I didn't bring up what Jarvis Jones had to prove. I didn't bring up what the Steelers secondary had to prove. And so what I'm saying to you is this, only for week 1. Remember, power rankings are week to week, Max. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm telling you right now, it's week to week, Max. We only talk about this week. We're not talking about next week. We're not talking about a month.
You know why you're so impressed? Because you thought Washington was going to win that game. I told you Pittsburgh was going to win. I told you Pittsburgh was going to win the game.
You did, but let me tell you why. I'm a Steelers fan, hardcore, and I predicted they would 12 wins this year. My position was if they're going to lose a game, it would be the first game of the season while they're trying to get themselves together on the road with the bevy of injuries. Because remember, we found out Marcus Wheaton wasn't going to play. We found out Ladarius Green was going to play. If they were going to play, I would have picked them. My point is that I'm thinking you're going to win 12 games, you're going to lose 4. This might be one of the 4. That's all mere bag of shells.
Why did they win? Tell me why they won.
They won because their offense, led by Big Ben with Antonio Brown.
And the O-line.
That's what I'm waiting for.
The O-line.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Listen.
Build it.
It's very
D'Angelo Williams good, but he ain't that good. That's the O-line.
It's very rare that you see reporters sitting up there vibing with the offensive line. I had the pleasure of talking to the Steelers offensive line after the game. It was a beautiful moment. You understand what I'm saying? It was a beautiful moment. That's right. That's right. I'm sitting there talking to the offensive line.
Because they balled.
They flat out balled. And Pouncey being back, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Castro getting his money, that's a beautiful thing. I'm simply saying for week 1, based on all the performances, to me the Steelers would be #1 in the power rankings. That's all. I said
because you overrate Washington. That's why.
Listen, Steelers, I love them, and I love them in the AFC. In fact, Ben is my MVP. He's my predicted MVP. So I don't disagree with you on this about how good. New England beat a better team on the road then Pittsburgh beat a team on the road. So if you're comparing the two, however you take it, but both depleted, both playing, New England still went into a better, in a more hostile environment, a better team, and they won. Pittsburgh does the same thing. Washington is not as good as Arizona.
And
So
by
if
the
you
way,
look
they
at
didn't
those
have
two-
their quarterback. I mean, the Patriots didn't have their quarterback.
Hey, but they don't need it with Belichick.
Washington,
Belichick, baby.
Washington definitely is not as good
As Arizona.
As Arizona, no doubt about it. But again, I emphasized what Bruce Arians and the GM said about their players. And I'm saying to you, this opening week, you have to take into consideration when guys walk in there and they just ain't ready to go.
They don't play.
Are you evening this up, or do you agree with us?
I'm staying out of it.
What?
I'm staying out of it.
Thank you.
I'm staying
I
out of it.
appreciate that.
She didn't want to salt the wound. You got hurt early this morning. We're going to
Oh,
let this
please.
ride.
You know what? He got, listen.
He like,
This
Stephen
is
A.
what
guys.
I'm saying. We're just getting started with Jeff. Yeah.
I'm a man. I got to do this.
Oh, boy.
Max Kellerman got me.
Oh.
My argument was there's no way in hell Randy Johnson would intentionally walk Barry Bonds. He did it twice.
Oh. And by the way,
it's not the Glavin Maddox thing, Smoltz thing. I thought Randy Johnson, the only two people who never walked Barry Bonds was Nolan Ryan and Dennis Eckersley. You got me.
Well, now
You got me.
And by the way,
I'm a man.
And by the way,
I gotta own
by the
up.
way,
I gotta own up.
The point was Randy Johnson didn't want to walk him, but when the manager tells you to walk him, you got to do it. What are you going to do?
Got to do it.
Listen up. This man came to us last year and took our offense to be the 5th offense in the whole damn NFL. He always getting on my not checking the ball down. I think he's happy, and I think he's really happy that we went out there and we fought for this man, and we got him his first victory.
Even I'm fired up after that. That was Jameis Winston talking to his teammates in the locker room after throwing 4 touchdowns in the Bucs' 31-24 win Week 1 over the Falcons. Marcus Mariota, who was taken with the number 2 pick behind Winston in the 2015 draft, threw for 271 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 interception in the Titans' Week 1 loss to the Vikings. Stephen A., is Mariota even in Winston's league?
Not to me. Not to me. I don't think he is. And I'm not talking about talent per se. I think that Jameis Winston is a superior talent at the quarterback position, but it's not to knock Mariota. He's a relatively quiet, unassuming guy. He works his tail off. Not the greatest evening last week, not the greatest afternoon last weekend, but he's got promise, and I think he'll be a good quarterback for Tennessee. I just think Jameis Winston is a star in the making. I think he's an individual that wants to start him bad. I think Mariota wants to win football games. Jameis wants to be the reason they win football games. He wants it bad, and he is, you could see the insatiable effect that he has on guys around him, galvanizing the troops and getting them to maximize their potential. I look at him as a superior talent to Mariota at the quarterback position, but it's not that big of a deal. But where I say Mariota's not in his class, is Jameis Winston as the kind of leader that I can look at and say, okay, I need everybody around you to give me all they've got because of you. I think that's Jameis Winston. I don't see that in Mariota yet.
If you're asking me who I'd rather have at this moment this season, I would take Jameis Winston. But are they in the same class? Absolutely. And it's too early to tell who's going to be better. I'm going to start with Winston. I'm going to make the argument for Mariota. Winston's a leader. You can see it. He has leadership qualities. Winston has a big arm. Winston has a better pedigree, national championship, a Heisman Trophy, Rookie of the Year. And Winston's on a better team at the moment with much better receivers. Mariota last year, in spite of, Mariota goes and loses to the Vikings, an excellent defense. Winston puts it on Atlanta, a bad defense. Look at last year. Mariota, better completion percentage. He has the better legs. All the other, like when you isolate for quarterback value, which is difficult to do, it is unclear who's better. When you add all the other stuff, the team they're on, who they're playing, what receivers they have, and the way they make you feel in the locker room, you give it to Winston. But it is way too early to say, I think, who's going to have the better career. And I think at this moment, Mariota is certainly in his class.
I think when you're young and you have the kind of leadership that Jameis Winston has. When they've said he is the franchise, it's your second year in the league, your first year in the league, now it's their second year in the league, and they say it's your franchise, and you have that kind of effect on teammates around you, that's exponentially great.
What's not
Listen,
to
when
like
we did the show at Buck's Place, I was so impressed with him when we had him on the show.